Welcome to the Rockstar in Life podcast, where you learn the secrets to unleashing your inner rock star so you can make the world your stage. What's up, Rockstars in Life? It's Siri Shakti, and I have my co-host here.
Dr. Dan's in the house.
Nice.
That's right.
Well, today we're going to be talking about, something awesome, something epic that we all have to master and use in our life. And we call this commitment. But today's episode is called You Got This.
Yep. Unless we change it, then that was completely wrong.
Wow. Okay. But let's not change it and go with You Got This.
But who's got this? You're saying you. Who are you talking to?
Everyone. Us, everyone listening. And you're funny.
Nice.
Thank
you for that. Thank you for that I'm funny.
You are so funny.
I'm very committed to being funny.
Yay.
Yes. And I should just be committed.
Okay. Well, I wanted to talk about this, and this is something that we have discussed before. Which episode was it that we talked about it?
Episode number 5, Why Motivation Sucks.
Yes. But, I know for myself, this week specifically, this was something that and I know for you as well, Dan.
No way.
That
I'm perfect. I never have commitment issues or any sorts.
We were both dealing with this head on. It's okay, and I know all of you listening, you've been through this before. You have things that you have to be committed to, things that you need to be doing, but every part of your being, every part of your brain power at that moment is saying, I don't want to do it.
Yep. Or I'll do it tomorrow,
yes.
Or the next day, or the next day. And
yes. You start to have that feeling you know what? I give up. I'm just not going to do this. Or, like you were saying, I'll do it tomorrow. And
well, that's the beauty of commitment. That's the difference between commitment and motivation. Motivation is like that caffeine. It's not going to hold you over for the rest of your life, right?
Yes.
You can't stay caffeinated 24 hours, 7 days a week. Yeah. At some point, you're going to crash and you need to sleep. And, the commitment is what takes over and that's the beauty of it as well, is that, there's plenty of things that I was supposed to do or I had committed to do and I didn't do them.
Right.
But the beauty of commitment is there's no end time. It's not oh, well, if you don't get it done by then, there's no hope for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not you say I'm going to get in shape and then you say I'm committed to working out and then you miss 3 days. It doesn't mean you've ruined everything and now you should just give up and
yes,
lay in bed and be one of those people that can't get out of bed without a what are those called? Those cranes.
A crane?
A crane. They'll have to remove the doors to get you out of the house.
Yeah, we don't want to get to that point.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we want to do here is not only do we want to relate to you that we totally understand what it's like to get to that point, because we all go through this. I mean, that's just, anything that you want to create, anything that you want to build in your life, you're going to have these moments that come up and they're going to feel intense. It's going to feel like I know for myself, I had a moment just yesterday where I was that's it. I'm not going to do this. And I had to have a little chat with myself and remind myself why I decided to commit. I'm not going to say what it is, but commit to this particular thing in my life. And
it was taking showers. You're I'm not going to take a shower. I give up. I'm just going to be smelly for the rest of my life. What were you saying? What about that, the Charlie Brown, what's the kid's name that was always dirty?
Oh, shoot.
We'll just call him Dirty Charlie Brown.
Dirty
Boy.
Charlie.
I don't know. And that's what you were committed to, right?
You know what? I'm kicking you off the show. Fine. I'm going to be honest with our listeners of what it was I was struggling with. Okay.
Oh, no. Don't do it.
Don't do it. No. Okay. It was actually this show because I love us creating this podcast show. And when we sit down to do it, I'm I love creating it. But just like the rest of you, I have a very full life. We have very full lives. I'm a homeschool mom. I have kids' activities to drive them to. Sometimes I feel like I'm an Uber, I'm like, I should be getting paid for this. And
well, you also have on the weekends, because we do this on Sundays. We do the recording most of the time on Sundays. And because Melina has dance classes on Saturday.
Yes.
And through the whole week. And then on Sundays, occasionally, competition season.
Season.
I sound like Sean Connery. Season.
Is that what you were going for?
Yeah, that's what I was going for. We'll go with that. So I mean, there's plenty of Sundays and Saturdays that, that we just we can't do anything.
Yes.
Right? It's like we can't do a family thing. We can't go to the beach like we normally have. So we've had to give up quite a few Sundays in order to produce the show.
Yeah. Well, I know 2 weeks ago, my daughter had competition Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I was there all day long.
Your daughter was?
Just mine.
Okay, got it.
Not yours.
Just yours. Got it.
Our daughter. And I got home at like 7:00 Sunday night, was so tired. But this is our commitment. Our commitment is to creating this for all of you, for ourselves, for the world. And so no matter how tired I was, I had to reach down into my commitment and remember what we've learned and what we talked about in that other episode is that commitment, it's bigger than any emotion. When you really lock yourself into it, any emotion that you're feeling, it won't waver you because, you may feel it, but it's not going to hold you back from following through. And so that's what I've, locked myself into. And so we're not giving up.
Yeah. And it's not a sprint.
Right.
It's what do they say? It's not a sprint. It's
a long distance.
I was going to say a long run. It's like a long run.
Oh, that's basically what.
Yeah. It's a marathon, right? So it's a marathon.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah, it's a walkathon. So you can jog, you can walk. There's going to be times that you jog. There's going to be times that you might sprint, and there's going to be times that you'll need to rest and take a nap. And for myself, I know everybody works a little different, but for myself, like I'll take sometimes like a week and just do very little in that week. And sometimes in the past, like I wouldn't do anything. Like I would just, in the past, I remember, years ago when I was running my own business by myself and I wasn't working with anybody else. I remember I would take like 2 weeks off, 2 to 3, sometimes even longer than that, I think. And I would just like watch marathons of shows and stuff, or not even marathons, but it would be like a marathon. I would watch like every episode, every season of a show I'd never, watched. And I think like one of them was Battlestar Galactica, which is like, there's like heck of seasons, right? So I watched them all like at once.
So were you like locked into your commitment to watch all of those episodes?
Yeah, no, that was my rest. That was me resting. And then finally I was like, okay, I've had enough of this. And then I just went full force and I did like 2 weeks of like intense creation mode. And again, I was by myself. I had nobody to kind of bounce ideas off or anything like that with. And it was such a unique industry that there wasn't a lot of people doing it.
Yeah.
And because of that, I didn't really have anybody to bounce off ideas. And it was, and I was creating, courses online. And here was the other, here's like, what do they call it? The rub, right? If I was to like collaborate or not collaborate, but to talk to somebody else and bounce ideas off of, what, they were my competition,
Right.
The head of like Under Armour wouldn't call like the head of Nike and just be like, hey, I'm thinking of some design ideas and, creating this other market and, and it would put you out of business or it would take money out of your hands. But what do you think I should do? No way.
Right.
Keep that secret. So back then it was pretty tough for me to get into, the good space but the commitment was there. And because the commitment was there, I never quit.
Yeah.
All I did was take a rest when I needed it. Right?
Yes.
And you obviously have to be self-aware and know that, okay, I'm not going to rest for 2 years.
Right.
Because we've known people like that, right?
Yeah.
Where they're like, just like we've had like, their significant others or spouses like complain like all they do is sleep on the couch and not do anything. And it's been like a year. That's a little different, right? I'm talking about like a couple days, a week, maybe 2 at the most.
Yeah. And something else that just came to mind as you were talking about this is like, you need to be flexible with your commitments and what as well, like with your goals and things that you want to create. And I'm talking about with anything. I mean, we're talking, it could be in business, it could be in fitness, it could be family goals, of family dynamics, things that you want to create within your home. You need to be flexible with yourself. And what came to mind is, I know I've talked before a little bit about what I went through this year. Thankfully, I'm doing so much better. But, I was dealing with like vision issues, didn't know what was going on, and it was very scary. And so, me being a homeschool parent, my commitment was doing homeschool with our children. Normally, I'm on top of that. Normally, I make sure we do it all the time. I have to tell you, this year, I had many days where I just couldn't do it. I had to rest, So either I just took a break, or I gave the kids things they could do on their own, or I just did what I could. But part of my commitment was, we are going to achieve certain goals this year. Well, now here we are almost at the end of the school season. Typically we would take summers off, but I decided, because our kids had so much time off this year, this school year, we're just going to keep going through the summer. And so I'm going to catch up. So you see, my commitment I haven't failed in my commitment. I did what I could. And now that I'm stronger, I'm putting a little more of the, what's the word, throttle on, the gas. And we're going to continue through the summer.
Putting the pedal to the metal.
Pedal to the metal, yeah. So that's what I'm talking about with being flexible. Sometimes life circumstances happen.
Circumcisions.
No, I wasn't going there, and I knew you were going to say that. I know you so well.
Oh, nice.
No, I wasn't saying that. Circumstances
Got it.
happen in life, and so you need to be mindful of that and be patient with yourself. And just, I know you've said this many times before, Dan, is going with the flow, right?
Yeah, be the water.
Yeah.
The water with the rock, if you haven't heard that before, is like, a water doesn't try and shove a rock out of the way. It just flows around it.
Yes.
And over time, it will wear down that rock. That's why you'll see, like, if you go to like a little river or, a creek or something like that has flowing water, you'll notice that the rocks are really smooth.
Yes. Is
over time, it just like wears it down.
Yeah. I know one thing that, our teacher Guru Singh would say all the time, and I love this now, I repeat all the time, is you do what you can and you be happy about that. You celebrate what you've done. And I think that's a big part of it, is when you're working towards any sort of goal or any commitment, is celebrate the stepping stones of what it is that you're, working on.
Yeah. Celebrate all your wins.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No matter how big or how small they are. And that's super important. I mean, it can be, just giving yourself a pat in the back, sharing it with somebody that's supportive and letting them know what you accomplished,
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, we're talking about any type of goal. Like, let's say you have this big goal, like you want to create your own business, right? That's a very big, important goal. So I'm talking about, like, even if you did, let's say tomorrow, you got started, you did one small thing, moving yourself forward in that. That is something to be celebrated.
So if you did like some research or something like that, like, okay, what are the 3 things that I'm good at? Or what are the 3 things that I'm interested in? Or, I mean, you might be further along in your idea, or you might not be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know for myself, I had a goal and I had made this a commitment, because I, being a stay-at-home mom and homeschool parent, I make 3 meals a day for my family. I remember I was telling that to one of my one of the dance moms that I know, and her kids go to public school, and so she's like, "You make 3 meals a day for your family? Oh my God, how do you do that?" And it's funny because I've done it so long, I hadn't really even thought about it. but it's just something that I do.
You also make snacks sometimes too.
Yeah. So
some desserts.
Snacks, dessert.
And your husband works from home, so you got to make him breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and bring him snacks as well. So yes.
So I'm like a full-time chef too. Yes. Yep. I didn't even know it. I'm a chef now.
You do it all.
Yeah. But one thing that I wanted to implement into this is I had spent like years feeling almost like resentful that I had to make like all these meals. And I remember there'd be nights where I'm like so irritated making dinner. I'm like, I don't want to make food. So about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, I made a commitment for myself that I was going to start putting the effort into enjoying the actual act of cooking for my family. And that I was going to start looking for new recipes. And I mean, believe me, I've picked a few that I make like all the time. That's just like, the easiest way. My go-to recipes. Yes. But it was such a journey because now I pretty much, I'd say 99% of the time, genuinely really enjoy making meals. And something that I really believe in is that the energy that the person puts into the food is what the person is going to experience. And I know this is part of the Buddhist tradition. This is the first time I actually heard about it. That within the Buddhist temples, it's the most enlightened Buddhists that create the actual meals, because what they put into the food is what you put in, to your belly, and it's what you ingest into your spirit. And so I was thinking, I remember after I heard that, I'm like, okay, I'm irritated every time I make dinner, and I'm giving that irritated food to my family. I didn't want to do that anymore.
That's why I always feel irritated.
Yeah, no.
I thought it was because you were slowly poisoning me.
No.
That's what it was.
I mean, I took it so far that I remember just a few days ago, my son was acting up so much. Oh my gosh, my 9-year-old. He was pissing me off so much. I yelled at him. I was so mad the whole time I was making dinner. And I almost finished the whole meal. And I thought, I was really angry the whole time I made that food. I looked at the food. I actually threw it out because I did not want to give you guys that. I not want to give my family angry food. And I ended up going and getting takeout instead. So I'm really locked into my commitment now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this goes for, anything that you want to do. I mean, you'd mentioned, starting a business or side project or, anything like that. It could be something that, financially, non-financially, it could be a hobby, something you've always wanted to do. It could be just getting in shape, being more active, something as simple as doing more walks. I know that's something that I had, challenges with myself and make commitments on as well. Spending more time with your kids or your loved ones, being, it could be anything from wanting to be an actor or an actress or joining the circus. I mean, it can be wanting to write a book, which is something I committed to many years ago to doing. And I did wrote 2 books. And this is somebody who flunked out of English class, that up until writing a book in my what was it, my late 20s or early 30s.
Early 30s, I think.
Early 30s. Yeah. Prior to that, I really didn't know, where the comma was really supposed to go. I could kind of guess sometimes, but I'm sure I got it wrong at least half of the times.
I have some worksheets that you could work on if you need to.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. No, I'll stick. Well, I pretty much got it now.
Okay, good.
But sometimes I confirm my work by just, I use Grammarly, and sometimes I'll Google the sentence and see what somebody else wrote. That reminds me of that, which is beautiful. So again, starting a business, it could be, maybe you always wanted to start a podcast like we did.
That's right.
I mean, this isn't the first one we did. We actually, we did our first one in like 2006 or 7. I think it was like 2007, somewhere around there. And we did that for a while. And then, we had kids. Well, we already had 2 children. We had Bodie, the third. So we took a little break, but we were committed. And here we are again. What is that, like 10 years later? Like
almost
8-9 years later, something like that, depending on when it was that we were doing it. So, again, it's not a sprint because by no means are you going to sit there and go like, oh, well, some people would say like, oh yeah, you guys used to have a podcast and you quit. Well, no, we didn't quit because we're doing it.
Yeah.
So
we just put it on
took
pause.
a very long break, right?
Yeah.
We raised some children and we're continuing to do so.
It was a worthy cause.
Exactly.
That's right.
So whatever it is you want to do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Be committed to it and take some kind of action towards it and just keep doing it. If you need to take a break, you need to take a break, but get back to it.
Yes. And remember that anything worthy in your life that you want to create. And, the thing is when we set our mind to something, you're going to have those moments, have those days where it's like, don't want to do this, but like I said, lock yourself into your commitment and see it through, because whenever we're creating something in our life, there's going to be times where it takes a little bit of that extra effort, but isn't that the beauty of it? Because those things that take that extra effort, those are the things that really give you the juice in your life. Those are the things that are so worthy, that give you the greatest rewards in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we've experienced, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like, there was a good, something good that Guru Singh had told me when I was talking to him about, I was having challenges with there's something that I needed to learn how to do, and it did not appeal to me whatsoever. And I was just like, man, I don't need to become an expert at this, but I need to understand it. And it's so difficult to learn. And I bought courses on it and everything. And it was very technical and analytical, and it wasn't something that I normally enjoy or even wanted to do. It was like going to the dentist. I'd rather go to the dentist than learn that stuff. And he had told me, he said, think of it as like giving birth. Nobody really wants to give birth. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to go through labor, right?
Yeah.
They want the result. They want what happens after that. You go through labor so you can have a child.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's how you have to look at it is if it's something that you're just like, man, I really don't want to do this or don't want to do that. Well, it's necessary in order for you to have the end result.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to push, and sometimes you got to feel that pushback, that pain of it. But
just keep moving forward.
You keep moving forward, and
that's your commitment.
Yeah. And then you experience what's on the other side of that.
Yeah. You don't quit. You be okay with it. Mm-hmm. You be okay with the pauses you need to take to refresh yourself. And if it so happens that you take a little too long, it's like, okay, now I need to do it. And I do this still today. I did it this week actually, where I'm like, I need to get this done. And I was just like, it was like so difficult, so hard.
Yeah.
And I really felt like I was giving labor, and I just wanted to go into the corner of the shower and run the water and cry in the corner on the ground, rock myself back and forth,
Aww.
But that doesn't matter. What matters is that you didn't give up, you didn't quit, and you stayed committed, and you kept moving forward. Even when you had to take a rest, you had to take a break, you had to do something to fill yourself back up or to replenish yourself so you had the energy and the strength to move forward.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
Beautiful. Well, is there anything else you want to share before we get to our Rockstar Mission?
No, I just want to remind everybody to go to rockstarinlife.com to get the links, resources mentioned in this episode's transcript, download the free books, training, yoga, meditation, homeschooling advice, and we are adding so much more. Don't forget to go to rockstarinlife.com and join the Rockstar in Life revolution today.
Awesome.
All right, so today's Rockstar Mission, if you choose to take it, which we hope you will, and we believe you will. We believe in you. And what we want you to do is to choose 3 things that you've wanted to do, that you've put off, and you still haven't started, or you took a really long break on.
Yeah.
It could be, a few days, a few weeks, a few months, a few years.
A few decades.
It could be a lot of years. It could be like, the last time I thought about this, I was 10 years old. and I'm 80 years old today. So it could have been, 70 years ago.
That's right.
It doesn't matter how long ago. It could have been something that you wrote down from the last time when we talked about commitment, right?
It's never too late. Never too late.
Yeah. So we can add all those in there. So whatever it is, write down 3 things that you've wanted to do that you've been putting off and commit to doing at least one thing. Write it down. Write down the one thing that you're going to do right now towards each of those 3 things. So if you have 3 items down, like one is, I want to write a book, right? And you haven't started. Okay, well, what's the first step?
Write an outline.
Yeah, write an outline. Write some ideas, right?
Do a brain dump.
Yeah, start reaching out. Start looking online like, okay, well, how to write a book. Look for an expert like I did is I hired a coach. She taught me how to go through the whole process. She actually had a book on it too, on how to write a book. And I'm sure there's other ones out there as well. Maybe it's reaching out to a friend that wrote a book. Any of those things, take action. Do one thing for each one of those. If it's I want to do more walks, well, you know what? If it's daytime right now, go do that walk. If you are at your work, take a break, go for that walk, or do it during your lunch hour. Or if it's nighttime before bed, go to bed. In the morning, take that walk.
Yes.
So do something towards each one of your goals. If you want to start a business, write down your business ideas. That's the start. That's the first step. Next step, maybe reach out to somebody that started the similar business, or start researching what would it take to start this business, right?
Yeah. And I'm going to add to that, if you don't mind. 2 things that have helped me over the years, and I always like to write this down in my journal. Number 1, for each of those 3 things, write down on a piece of paper and ask yourself this question. What pleasure would you get, or what would it feel like in your life if you really committed to each of those goals, to each of those things that you want to create in your life? So what would it feel like? What would it bring to your life? What would that look like? And this is
what would it feel like?
Yeah, what would it feel like
to have those, not accomplishments, but to, if it was writing a book.
Yeah.
What would it feel like if you had that book in your hand right now?
Yeah.
Right? And you're able to put it in other people's hands, the ones that you wanted to see it, or the perfect audience for it. You're like, I want to help, women that, had challenges giving birth, or I want to help women that couldn't get pregnant.
Yeah.
And being able to put that book, in somebody's hands.
Yes. That would help them. Yeah. So write it down and see it, visualize, what it would be like in your life at the same time. Because what you want to do is you want to create emotion so that you have a leverage on yourself to keep yourself locked into your commitment. And then on the other side, for the second question, what pain would it cause in your life? Or what would it look like in your life if you never committed to this? What would you miss out on? Because I want you to see the distinction between just following through and sticking with your commitment versus not. Because when you have clarity, when you can see the clear difference, then sticking with your commitment is going to be that much easier, right?
Yeah. Well, what we've heard is like the rocking chair test.
Yeah.
If you're sitting on your rocking chair, you're, old now, you're 140 years old, you're on the rocking chair and you're sitting there rocking back and forth and you're whittling some wood or whatever they're doing in the future at that time. And somebody talks like, oh, hey, do you have any regrets? Do you want to, what would that feel like to say, yeah, I have a regret. I always wanted to write a book to help people on this topic.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it. I was too scared.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Yeah.
Right? But imagine how that feel if you didn't have that regret because you did it.
Yes.
That would feel amazing. And all the people that thanked you for that book or your podcast or, or the business you started that helped your family, or whatever, whatever the reason is that you want to do those things. Imagine that. Imagine wanting to be more active and you led a healthy lifestyle and you felt great.
Yep. And that inspired your family and your friends, and they took care of themselves. And, all of the things that you want to create, it affects other people in your life as well, positively. Yep. And so, that's what this comes down to. And so make sure for each of those three things, answer these two questions in detail and envision what it would be like to have followed through. That is so important.
Exactly.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, guys. Well, don't forget to be a rock star in your life.
And make the world your stage.
Thanks for listening to Rockstar in Life, your source for unleashing your inner rock star. For more tips, training, and free stuff, be sure to go to rockstarinlife.com and join the Rockstar in Life revolution today. Thanks again, and don't forget to make the world your stage.